Alright, so the Premier League is back tomorrow, and we're going to go over our early predictions. Not very early because the season is literally starting tomorrow. Liverpool-Bournemouth kicking off at 8 o'clock, and I will be tuning in for that one and watching it, and there will be a video on that one as well for you guys. So, let's get into this. So just before we start here, guys, I want to do everything that all the YouTubers do. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below what your predictions are going to be. I'm going to do it at the beginning of the video this time. I always do it at the end, so please do that now. So, going into my Premier League predictions, I first of all just want to predict that I think this is going to be a great Premier League season. I think that it's going to be really competitive, something that we didn't see last season, you know, much to my delight, but I'm sure not to a lot of other fans' delights there. So, I do reckon it's going to be a more competitive league this year than it was last year. Now, how competitive do I think it's going to be? We're going to get into that. So, we're going to start off with the biggest flop team of the season. And if I'm honest, I think this one's pretty easy for me. I think that the team that's going to be the biggest flop is going to be Nottingham Forest. Now, not because I don't think that Nottingham Forest are, I think they're going to stay up. I don't think they're going to get relegated by any stretch of the imagination. But the unbelievably high standard that they set last year, there is not a chance they're going to live up to that. I mean, it's great they managed to keep Gibbs White on. I know it's under questionable circumstances. I don't know if you guys think the same as I do, but, release clause was paid and the player ended up staying at the club. And I've not heard of that happening before, but, they've kept him on. Great player, brilliant. I just think that Nuno, the wheels are going to start falling off. We saw it towards the end of last season where, the owner comes on the pitch and starts giving him a bit of a pop. So I just think that could be an early sign that Nottingham Forest aren't going to perform so well this season. Now we're going to move on to my surprise package. I'm going to be honest, my surprise package is Spurs, and I don't know if this is much of a surprise to people because they've had a great window. They did win a trophy last year. No matter how bad their league form was, they were riddled by injuries. But I just reckon that Spurs can do well. I mean, I've got a friend that says that Spurs are going to finish above Arsenal, and whilst I do think that's a bit too ambitious, I could see Spurs finishing sort of anywhere between 7th and 5th. Let's say. I don't think they're going to be as bad as they were last year, and I don't think they're going to crack the top 4, but I reckon they can be somewhere in the middle there. So that's my surprise of the season there. Moving on to sort of the breakout star of the season. So this is going to be a young player that maybe hasn't had a lot of experience in the Premier League. They're coming in, they're going to do something. I mean, it's hard for me to lean away from Rio Ngamoa. I mean, if he gets the game time, I reckon he's going to, feature for Liverpool quite a lot this year. And I genuinely think that he can really impact the team in a positive way. So, yeah, I'd have to go for Rio Ngamoa personally. There's a shout for sort of Max Kilman, but I just don't think he's going to get the game time as much. He's on the same side as Saka. They've just got Madueke who can play that side. There's Wanyeri. I can't see Max Kilman featuring too heavily. So for that reason alone, I'm going to go Rio Ngamoa. And as an honourable mention, we're going to go Estavio for Chelsea. He's just moved to the Premier League, but he looked like a killer in Brazil. And I'm excited to see what he has coming up. Now, we're going to move on to sort of flop signing and best signing. I'm going to do these together. So my flop signing, I've got 2. Now, one of them is going to be Benjamin Sesko. I don't think that he's going to perform very well. I think he's got the talent there. I just think that in this United setup, I can't see him doing amazingly. I want to sort of couple him up with Cunha there because, I mean, Cunha's done a lot of walking last year. And I think that in terms of the player he's fantastic. I just don't know if his sort of attitude's right. Man United have done this before where they've signed real talented players, but their attitude's not been in the right place. And we all know how that's gone before. So, those are sort of 2 people. I'm going to throw them together. And the other flop of the season, I'm going to say, and Arsenal fans, brace yourself, it's Gyökeres. I think that he thrives on the counter. Now, granted, we've not seen a lot of him in pre-season, but from what I have seen of him, I've not been impressed. But I'm not going to base my opinion based off of that. I'm going to base my opinion off of the fact that he thrives in transition and Arteta plays a very slow brand of football. So I don't know how that's going to match up unless the system changes. And if the system changes, do Arsenal have as much control and do they win as many games? That's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to leave that at that. Now, moving on to the signings of the season, and obviously I'm going to be biased here, I'm a Liverpool fan, but I'm not going to go Florian Wirtz. I actually reckon that Mohamed Kudus is going to be a signing of the season. I think that he looks really good. I watched him versus PSG last night, and he played very well, in my opinion. Tottenham have just had a fantastic window. Paulinho came in, he's wow, like he looked great last night. But anyway, steering away from that, the other person that I want to mention for signing of the season is going to be Hugo Ekitike. Now, it's a bit of a running joke in my friend group because I thought that Ekitike was going to be an absolute donkey. I didn't want to sign him. I thought that everything I'd seen of him was him doing useless skills and then not really beating a man, and his finishing looked a bit suspect. But in 90 minutes of football, Ekitike's completely changed my point of view on him. He looks silky, he looks smooth, he looks ready for the Premier League. He looks a lot more robust than people give him credit for. So I'm going to say Hugo Ekitike, and I'm also going to say Mohamed Kudus are going to be the two players that really stand out and shine this season. So moving on to player of the season. I mean, there's a couple of players that, again, I'm going to mention here. You can never bet against Mohamed Salah. He's going to be there. Isak, I want to put him in this conversation. If he's at Liverpool and playing, he's 100% in a conversation like that. If he's at Newcastle and playing, he's still in a conversation like that. But if he's at Newcastle and he's not playing, obviously we're going to put him to the side. Other mentions I want to say is I reckon that Bukayo Saka could have a brilliant year this year. He's coming back off an injury, so we got to see how he's going to sort of acclimatise to that. But he was making great steps forwards before the injury. And even after he came back from injury, he did look very good. So I do want to give a shout out to Bukayo Saka and just prove that I don't hate Arsenal as much as people think I do. So those are the three players that I reckon are going to be standouts this year. And again, I'd love to know what you guys think about that one down below. So moving on to Playmaker and also the Golden Boot. Let's get into this. So I think that the Playmaker of the season is going to be Bukayo Saka. I'm going to be honest, if Gyökeres hits the ground running, he's going to get a stupid amount of assists. And if Gyökeres doesn't hit the ground running, he's still probably going to get a lot of assists. I think that Saka can do that. So I'm going to go Bukayo Saka for that shout, and I'm going to say it confidently, and that's that. Moving on to the Golden Boot winner. Again, it's circumstantial, but if Isak's at Liverpool, I think he's a shoo-in for it. But it's hard to bet against Erling Haaland, so I'm going to say Erling Haaland just because Isak is a bit of an unknown. I know that's a really bold shout to say that the guy that holds the Premier League goal record might score the most goals. So we're going to go into the relegation prediction. Now I've got a little bit of a left field shout for a couple of these because I don't strictly think it's going to be the three that came up that are going to be the three that go down. Now I do think the Burnley are going to go down. So I'm going to put them down there. Along with them, I'm going to say Brentford. They've lost a lot of players, and they've also lost their manager. Let's see how they can adapt to that, whether they can overcome that. Who knows? But that's the second team that I'm chucking in there. And for the last team that I'm chucking in there, I am actually inclined to say Crystal Palace. Now, hold on, don't shoot me. I know this is crazy, but this is going off a hypothetical. If they lose Mark Gehi to us, and if they lose Eze to, say, Arsenal or Tottenham, which are very possible, I can see them struggling, because where did the goals come from? And also defensively, they'll be weakened. And secondly, apparently Mateta's linked to Newcastle. So if Mateta leaves, the goals really aren't going to be there. Now, if we're speaking about clubs right here, right now, who I actually think could be a team to get relegated, I'm actually going to say Leeds. Now, I think that Leeds, they don't impress me. Sunderland have made some really smart signings. They spent a whole lot of money. And I just think that they're more likely to stay up than Leeds. I actually think they are more likely to stay up than Brentford. And another team that I'd throw in down there is Wolves. But I'm going to go for my bottom three. I'm going to go Burnley, Brentford, and Leeds. So there you go. Now, before we go into what you've all been waiting for, which is the top six, I'm going to make a bold prediction. Now, this prediction is going to be managers that I think could get fired and managers that I think could really exceed expectations. And that might lead into what you guys actually no. I'm gonna do that after. I'm gonna tie that in with the top six. So we're gonna go top six first. In sixth place, I'm gonna put Spurs. I think Thomas Frank can, get them playing good football. I think they made smart signings. I don't think they're good enough to break the top four yet. But yeah, I'm gonna go Spurs at 6. At number 5, I am going to go Newcastle. Now, I know they may lose Isak and they're going to look a little bit weird and they've got Champions League football and how's that going to affect them, but I just think that their midfield is still one of the best in the league. They've got a great engine there. They've got a great basis. Their backline's still solid. I do think that Ramsdale is a bit of an upgrade on Nick Pope, but that's not me saying that I like Ramsdale because I actually don't rate him at all. I just think that Nick Pope's that shocking. But no, I still think they've got goals there. They got Anthony Gordon. They've just brought Alanga in. They got a lot of pace. They're going to hit people on the counter. But yeah, I think Newcastle will get 5th there. Now moving into my top 4. I haven't written anything down, and I'm just going to go off of my gut feeling. Don't shoot me. Man City 4th. I know that's a very bold prediction. But you've got to hear my logic here. The reason I'm going Man City 4th is because I think that they absolutely leak goals. I think they're going to score a lot, but I think there's going to be a lot of scoring draws for them, where maybe they score a goal or two and the other team manages to nick a late equaliser and it ends up being 2-2, 1-1. And I just don't think that they're defensively sound enough. And with Rodri, he's not back fit yet. And also, the teams ahead of them, I think, have just improved that much. So we're going to leave that there. I'm going to go into the 3rd slot. Now, this is a real toss-up for me. I genuinely, in my heart of hearts, believe that Chelsea finish above Arsenal this season. But a part of me is going to say that that's, my banter towards Arsenal. So I'm going to put Chelsea in 3rd. I think they made some great signings. I think they're playing some very exciting football. I don't know how well I rate Enzo Maresca as a manager, but he's proved that he can win. He went and smashed PSG. I don't care if it was a Club World Cup friendly, whatever you guys want to say, it's impressive. So I'm going to put Chelsea 3rd. So that basically says that Arsenal's going 2nd. You guys know that I said it was a toss-up between them. But I do think that if Arsenal finish 2nd and they don't even get close to winning anything, that Mikel Arteta's in trouble. That's why I didn't want to do my manager's prediction beforehand. I was having a debate last night with my good friend. He's an Arsenal fan, and we really disagree on Arteta. He thinks that Arteta's doing great, and I can't say he's doing badly. I just, at this point in Klopp's tenure with Liverpool, he'd won the Prem and the Champions League. And he'd been to 3 Champions League finals. Arteta's not even getting close. So yeah, but we'll see. I do still think they're going to have a solid season though. I don't think Gyökeres is going to light the world on fire, but I also don't think he's going to completely flop. And last but not least, Liverpool are going to win the Premier League in my opinion. The signings we made, the fact that we were the best team last year, we've strengthened basically everywhere on the pitch. If we bring in Mark Guehi, come on. We brought in that Italian centre-back. He looks tidy. From what I've seen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I've seen loads of him, but that picture of him dragging Lukaku about that's all I need to know. So I think that we're going to win. Especially if we get Isak. I mean, Florian Wirtz, Isak, Salah, Gakpo, Rio Ngamoa, Ekitike. It just goes goals, and that's without mentioning the fact that McAllister's going to, twat it from 40 yards out into the top bin, or Szoboszlai is going to make a nice run through and dink a little header in, or Gravenberch is going to take it at the edge of the box and try and wrap one top bins. There's goals all over the team. Milos Kerkez can score goals, Jeremy Frimpong has scored a goal. So I just think we've got so many goals in this team that it's just a bit of a joke, really. And I also just think that Arne Slot, he's proven to me, at least, that he's a very tactically astute manager. So, thank you guys all for watching this video. That's my Premier League predictions. I want to know what you guys think down below. So if you let me know, we will have a discussion in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching the video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Liverpool are going to beat Bournemouth 3-0. You heard it here first. Peace.